Krishna Kshetra Swami Namaste Saraswati Goranga Kachari Punyavani Jai Shri Krishna Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radha Shivasari Gora Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation system. Your translation. No need to apologize. I just used to. Oh? And those who are receiving. Yes. 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 Okay. You may well be wondering, what is our subject? Yes, what is our subject? I decided our subject is a continuation of Rama Lila. Is that a good idea? Yes. I know some of you are a little. I thought the devotees of Krishna would say Rama. Yes, we're also devotees of Rama. Yes. Who's the famous Rama Bhakta of Chaitanya Lila? Murari Gupta. Yes. Who is Murari Gupta? Hanuman. Yes. You know the story, Lord Chaitanya testing Murari Gupta advised him that he should put aside his worship of Rama and simply focus on Krishna. Yeah. Imagine, just imagine, Lord Chaitanya came to you and said, you should give up your worship of Rama and just worship Krishna. What would you do? Okay, you may say, well, I don't have that problem. You'd say, but Lord Chaitanya, I don't worship Lord Rama. But then he might say, that is the problem. You're not worshiping Maryada Purushottama. We have Maryada Purushottama and Lila Purushottama. Lila Purushottama is Krishna. Maryada Purushottama is Ramachandra. What means Maryada? Boundary. Very good. Yes. Boundary. Boundary? The Lord of boundaries? Yes. He is the Lord of, well, in this case we would, in English, perhaps translate propriety. The Lord of Dharma. Lila Dharma. If we put it like that. Before it goes into such an eminence, it goes into depression. So, Murari Gupta, he seriously tried to follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. He tried. He really tried. But he came to Lord Chaitanya the next day and he said, I can't do it. How can I give up my mom? And Lord Chaitanya said, that's all right. You don't have to give up. After all, you're Hanuman. How can you give up Ram? Why would you want to give up Ram? You're Hanuman. So he recognized that he's actually Hanuman. He's eternally there. But he also he's associated with Lord Chaitanya at the same time. So eternal relation with the Lord in two different aspects. That's impressive. Would you like to have some eternal relation with the Lord as Lord Chaitanya and as Krishna or Rama? Yeah? Yeah? One is not enough? Yeah. Jiva Goswami, as I remember, I made it correct. Jiva Goswami says it's possible. It's possible to reside in Goranga and in Shvetadvipa, the place of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's restaurant. You might say, that sounds like it could be confusing. Where am I? If I'm here and I'm also there, how does that work? Don't worry, it'll all be worked out. Everything will be perfectly adjusted. I have, upon occasion, been reading from one version of Rama Lila called Ramcharitmanas, or Ramacharitmanas. And I thought we'd just continue this. Actually, continuing from a place I don't know some of you may have been present that we already read. But repetition is not a bad thing in spiritual life. And With Ram Lila in particular, we could say also with Krishna Lila, but it's kind of very especially well known in India with Rama Lila. People will attend performances of Rama Lila. They already know the story completely. In fact, many of them will have it memorized. They'll have the Rama Lila of Ramcharitmanas memorized. And still they want to go, they want to see, they want to hear, they want to experience again. Because this is the sense in which they hear. It's not just hearing, it's participating. In Ramnagar, just across from Varanasi, once a year, in the month of September, they perform Ram Lila. And they recite the Ramcharitmanas as their performance. And all the audience, it goes on for the whole month. It takes the whole month. And all of the audience are feeling themselves to be part of the pastime. They are feeling themselves to be residents of Ayodhya. So that when Ram leaves Ayodhya, we all know he leaves Ayodhya. Now, why does he leave Ayodhya? Because there's been palace intrigue. You know the word intrigue? Palace intrigue. Intriga. No, I know another Serbian Croatian word. Spletke. Spletke. Spletka. There's been Spletke. Sounds worse than intrigue. Spletkaren. Okay. So, we all know what has happened, and Lord Rama, as a consequence of the intrigue, has been sent to the forest for 14 years. He's been banished to the forest. Forest, the word, there's different words for forest. There's aranya and there's vana. Sometimes in English we use the word jungle. You know this word jungle? Do you have this word also? Jungla. Jungla. I thought this is jungla. Okay. Oh, that's something jung. So jung. But it comes from a Sanskrit word, jangala. But the meaning of the Sanskrit word is different from the meaning of the English word. The Sanskrit word refers to wild, open country where there is just small bushes, sort of straggly bushes. You see a lot of this in many parts of India. But the British, they took that word and they turned it into another meaning, which is very dense forest, like rainforest in Brazil. That's what we associate with jungle. But Lord Rama was sent to not the jungala, but to the jungle. he was sent to the aranya, to the forest. And so I thought we can just read a little bit of soon after he has left for the forest. As we know, he's not alone. He is, of course, with his dear Sita, and he's with his dear brother Lakshmana. I might mention, for those who haven't heard me explain this before, this is Ramcharitmanas is from Tulsidas. He's a poet from the late 15th, early 16th centuries, and apparently he lived in the Varanasi area, at least for most of his life. And he wrote in a certain dialect of Hindi, which is called Avadi. There's an area around present-day Ayodhya, which used to be called Aud, the kingdom of Aud, O-U-D-H, Aud. And the language of that area is Avadi. It's a dialect of Hindi. And this version of the Rama Lila, in North India, it's become arguably the most popular scripture in North India, more than any other shastra. It's the Ramcharitmanas that people read, people know, people memorize. And why is that? It's because it's so full of bhakti. It takes the classical Sanskrit Ramayana, the Valmiki Ramayana, and it bhaktifies it, makes everything full of bhakti. It brings out, you could say, all the bhakti that's there. So, I thought we can read some of this. What do you think? Shall we read this? I'll read and we'll see. We can stop, we can discuss. If there's anything you want to stop and, say something about, ask something about, you're welcome to interrupt. And one thing I would suggest, this can be a meditation. I often say that the pastimes of the Lord, we can practice meditating by picturing. We all have ability with our minds to picture a scene. We have our own ways of seeing, of picturing. That's all right. That's encouraged. I also, sometimes I've mentioned, Srila Prabhupada wanted originally to have every second page of his Bhagavatam to be an illustration. He wanted pictures, images. So this can be a nice way to remember Shravana, Kirtana, Rama Smarana. Yes. Okay. Rama has departed with his associates, and initially he's been escorted in a chariot by Sumantra. Sumantra is the minister of Dasharatha. And since being a small child, Sumantra and Rama knows Sumantra, so he's like a father figure in some respects. And Sumantra also feels that Rama is like a child. He wants to care for him, he wants to protect him. This is one theme which I think is very nice to also meditate on in the Bhagavatam, also, but in the Ramayana, the idea of caring. We talk about caring for devotees, how the Lord is caring for his devotees is nice to consider. So, at this point that we are coming to now, after Rama has met one very dear friend of his named Guha, King Guha. Guha is a tribal chieftain in the forest, and his name is Guha. And Guha has welcomed Ram with open arms, with great warmth. He has hosted him for a short time, and he wants to keep Ram and his devotees with him. He said, I'll build you a nice place to live, you stay with me, no problem. And Lord Rama says, thank you, but no thank you. My task, my order is to stay in the forest. That means not in a village, not in a comfortable place with some other villagers. No, that's not allowed. I'm supposed to be in the forest, in the wild. And so, okay. So he has spent some time with him, and now they have come to the river Ganga. And they want to cross the river. So Sri Rama, this is in the Aranya Kanda of the Ramacharita. Sri Rama dismissed Sumantra against the latter's will, against Sumantra's will. And himself, Rama, arrived at the bank of the heavenly stream. What do you suppose is the heavenly stream? The Ganga. He called for a boat, but the ferryman would not bring it. What is this? The Lord is calling for a boat, and a ferryman has a boat, and he is being disobedient. How is this? The ferryman said to Rama, I know your secret about the dust of your lotus feet. Everyone says it is some drug. Possessing the quality of turning things into human beings. By its very touch, a rock, a stone, was transformed into a charming woman. What is this pastime? Ahalya, yes, Ahalya. She had been cursed, she was a stone. Lord Rama comes, he touches the stone, Ahalya appears, right? And wood is not harder than stone. He's talking about his boat. His boat is made of wood. He says, you touch stone and it became a woman. If you touch my boat, because in order to, go in a boat, you have to step into the boat, right? He says, you're not stepping in my boat, because then I won't have a boat anymore. And I won't have any work anymore. I won't have any income. No. You're not stepping in my boat. If my boat itself gets converted into a hermit's wife, like Ahalya, I shall be robbed of the very means of my subsistence. In that, my boat will disappear. It is by means of this boat that I maintain the whole of my family. I know no other trade. If therefore you, my Lord, if you must cross the river, command me to lave your lotus feet. The word lave is it's an old English word. Nobody uses this word anymore. The translator has used it. To lave means to bathe, the Sanskrit is padya, to offer padya. L-A-V-E. Oh! Lavare, you have it on the Croatian. So it's been preserved in the language.
Bucket, lava in Croatian.
Lava.
So like a bucket, to fit it.
Okay. Well, okay. Here it's a verb. So, lavare. That's cool. So, So he says, okay, you want to cross the river, you want to use my boat? Not until you allow me to wash your feet. Because right now there's some dust on your feet, and if that dust touches my boat is going to become a person or who knows what. So first we have to wash off your feet. Then we'll let you come in my boat. All right? I will let you board the boat only when I have bathed your lotus feet. I seek no toll from you. I won't charge you anything. I swear by you, O Rama, as well as by King Dasharatha, that what I tell you is all true. Let Lakshmana shoot me with his arrows if he will. But until I have washed your feet, I will not, O gracious Lord of Tulsidas, ferry you across. Notice the author, Tulsidas, has kind of snuck himself into this. This was very traditional. Bhaktivinoda Thakur does this all the time in his songs. He signs them. Narottam Das does this also. He signs his song, usually at the end of the song. And so also Tulsi was doing this in this way. Well, gracious Lord of Tulsidas, very I refer to you. On hearing these words of the ferryman, mysterious though imbued with love, the all-merciful Lord looked at Janaka's daughter and Lakshmana and smiled. So even here, just this moment of Rama glancing at Sita and Lakshmana, just as he's been requested, please let me bathe your lotus feet. That can be a picture in your mind you can carry with you. What do you think? Possible? Possible. Shambho Bhavi? Shambho. Possible in Serbia? Možno. Yeah. Let me read a little bit of I'm going to try to do this. The meter is a little special, but let me try to read some of this text. Kripa Sindhu Bole Mushukai Soy Karu Jehi Tavanavana Jai Begianu Jolapai Pakaru Uttavilambu Uttarati Paru Jasunama Sumyirata Eka Ekavada Uttarahi Narabhava Sindhu Apara Soy Kripal Kevatahi Nihora Jehi Jagutiya Tipu Bhagavu Te Torah Paranakka Niraki Devasari Harasi Suni Prabhu Vachana Moha Mati Karashi Evata Rama Rajaya Hava Ani Katavata Varinde Ava Atyananda Umari Anuraga Charana Soru Saruja Paramalaga Bhagasi Sumana Sura Sakala Sikhahi Ehi Samapunya Punja Kau Nahi. Something like that. The all-compassionate Lord, smilingly said, do that which may prevent the loss of your boat. Whatever it takes, so you don't lose your boat. Bring water at once and lave my feet. We are getting late. Take us across. Sounds like Lord Rama is getting a bit impatient. The same gracious Lord, by uttering whose name only once men cross the boundless ocean of mundane existence, and for whose 3 strides the universe proved to be too small, thus importuned, thus commanded an ordinary boatman. So nice. Tulsidas gets a little carried away here. That same Lord, you chant his name once, you can cross the ocean of material existence. That same Lord is now saying to this devotee, the ferryman, okay, whatever, do what you need to do. Bathe my feet. I want to cross the river. So there's a little irony here. It says, I want to cross this river, and Tulsidas reminds us, he's the one who is making it possible for us to cross not just the river, the ocean of material existence. Nice, yeah? Though bewildered by the Lord's words, the celestial river, the Goranga, rejoiced on beholding the nails of his toes. So, the Ganga is now, the personified Ganga is Ganga Devi, and she is now seeing the toes and the nails of the toes of Rama's feet, and she is becoming joyful. On receiving Sri Rama's command, the ferryman brought a wood basin full of water in great joy, and with a heart overflowing with love, he proceeded to bathe the Lord's lotus feet. Raining flowers on him, all the gods, all the demigods we would say, envied his lot and said there was none so meritorious as he. So you can picture the demigods, they're all above. And what are they doing? They're throwing flowers, that's what demigods do, unless they're fighting the demons. When they're fighting the demons, they have no time for flowers. But now they're seeing the Lord, and on what sorts of occasions do the demigods throw flowers? Auspicious occasions. What else? When Krishna kills a demon, yes. When there's victory for the good guys, right? When there's victory for the Lord and His devotees, then they throw showers of flowers. They seem to always have a plentiful supply of flowers and flower petals. Unlike our temples in the wintertime. So this can be also a very nice meditation, especially in the winter when there's no flowers in the temple. You can think of the demigods showering flowers, not just 2 or 3 petals. And they're also smelling. They also have a nice aroma. Yeah. So that can be a nice meditation. So here we are. Okay. Rama his feet are being bathed by the ferryman at the river Ganga, who is ecstatic seeing the Lord's lotus feet, and the demigods are above and they're showering flowers. That's a nice picture. No? Yes. And they seem to be, in a nice way, a little envious of the ferryman, because they say there's no one more meritorious, one who has punya, who has merit. Punya punja is the word, full of merit. There's no one to compare with him. Sometimes its translation is interesting. Having laved the Lord's feet, and what do you do with the water having bathed the Lord? Drink it, yes. So, and does the ferryman drink this himself? Does he keep it all for himself? No. He distributes it to his whole family. He thereby, it says here, transported the souls of his deceased forebears across the ocean, get this word, of metempsychosis. You ever heard that word? Yeah. Metempsychosis. You have this in Croatian. Metempsychosis, of course. It's a little bit antiquated, no? Yeah. Yeah, it's Greek. So it's for transmigration. We usually say metempsychosis. Sounds like psychosis. Anyway. And then gladly took the Lord across the Ganga. Okay, so we have Ramachandra on one side of the Ganga, now he's on the other side. Now we may ask at this point, which side is he on? Well, if we know a little bit of Indian geography, we know that Ayodhya is north of the Ganga. Where is present-day Ayodhya? Do you know? Divya knows. You know where is Ayodhya? More or less? North. Somewhere north. It's very close to the border of present-day Nepal. Yeah. And just on the other side of the border, not far from the other side of the border, is a town called Janakpur. Have you been to Janakpur? I've been to Janakpur. And not only was I in Janakpur, but I was in Janakpur on the day of Mother Sita's appearance. That's my experience. Yeah, big crowds. So, So now this means Rama is on the south side of the Ganga. Right? Yeah, must be. The Lord, as well as Lakshmana and Sita, did their utmost. Oh, wait a second. I jumped ahead. Okay. Getting down from the boat, Sita and Rama stood on the sands of the Ganga, along with Uha and Lakshmana. So apparently Uha, the chieftain of the tribals, is still with him. The ferryman too got down and fell prostrate before the Lord, who felt uncomfortable at the thought that he had given nothing to the ferryman. So Rama is not so happy he hasn't given some reward to the ferryman. Remember, the ferryman is worried that he has no source of income other than his boat. Therefore, he will not give passage to Rama unless he washes his feet. That's the bathe his feet. So he bathes his feet. Now he's on the other side, and Rama is thinking, this is not good. He said this would be the only fee that he allows him to bathe his feet. But he's not feeling so good about it. Sita, however, who could read the mind of her beloved Lord, took off her jeweled ring with a cheerful heart. The gracious Lord said to the ferryman, "Take your toll," as he was giving the ring to the ferryman. But the ferryman clasped his feet in great distress. "What have I not already received, my Lord? The fire of my errors, sorrows, and indigence." Indigence means impropriety, maybe, has been quenched today. That means the fire of my bad deeds has been stopped. I worked for my livelihood for a long time. It is only today that God has given me an adequate and handsome return. This is also slightly old-fashioned English. To give a handsome reward to someone is to give them a lot of something. Handsome reward means lots of money. So this is adequate and more than adequate. You have given me this blessing to stop, to burn away, not to burn away, to stop the burning of all of the bad deeds that I have performed. By your grace, my compassionate Lord, I want nothing now. While returning whatever you bestow on me, I shall thankfully accept that. So now he's mentioning returning. So he's expecting that the Lord at some point is going to come back and he's going to cross the river. And he's saying, if you want to give me something at that time, that's okay, but not now. Well, Sita and Lakshmana, they tried, no, please, you take. But the ferryman would accept nothing. The all-merciful Rama therefore dismissed him. That means said goodbye to him after bestowing on him the boon of devotional service. Vida himha karunayatana bhagati himala barudehi. Bhagati himala barudehi. Vida himha, without Does anyone have a thought or a question so far? Yes.
It seems that this whole Rama Lila, so I'm wondering, I guess we also know the position of Sita too. So why don't they do that both?
Bathe both their feet?
Yeah, or worship both of them, it's traditional.
Yeah, go ahead and repeat because they would know. Here, we might as well repeat in Croatian.
Yes, I'm wondering that the Balkans we recognize I'm Croatian.
Why not? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay. Okay.
This Balkan he recognizes the supreme position of Lord Rama, so he invented his lotus feet, and I'm wondering why not also Mother Sita. I guess he was aware of her this. All worship them together as it is custom.
And Lakshmana perhaps also. I think you'd have to ask Tulsidas what was his mood. His mood, my guess is, now it's time, now comes the Swami speculation, that she is too much revered, that one is not even looking at the feet of Sita. Just like Lakshmana, it said that Lakshmana is only seeing the feet of Sita, never seeing her face. But perhaps for the ferryman, this is a very low class position, you could say, low caste, and so it's very possible that it would be considered outside the boundaries of the Maryada for him to also raise her feet. That's my guess.
And also one more, I don't know if this is one of the story, in this part of the story, is that this Balkan, he refused payment. Because he said that when you go to, when one leaves his body, there is usually this custom, when they do a different tradition, when you know that they put coins and people's eyes, so for the Yamaraj or something.
Oh.
So they, I heard this version, I know it is qualified that he said that, when I go away, that it is my payment, that you pay instead of me, or
So there's no need for this would go. Yeah.
Just pay for me.
Oh, I think I understand. There are any number of versions of the Ramayana, and so this may be from one of the many versions. I don't think it's in the Valmiki Ramayana. When I say the Valmiki Ramayana, there's any number of versions of the Valmiki Ramayana also. But, well, I'm not a Ramayana expert, but I haven't seen that story myself. But there's also versions within Puranas, but there are also vernacular versions of the Ramayana in all the languages of South Asia and East Asia as well. So something like that. We're very, very good. Okay. Well, they've crossed the Ganga, and now what does Lord Rama do? The Lord of Raghu's race, that's Rama, then bathed in the Ganga, and after worshipping a newly made clay image of Shiva, bowed his head to the deity. Some will be surprised. Oh, what is this? Rama, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's worshipping Shiva. Yes, why not? This will happen also much later, just after Rama returns from Lanka. He will worship Lord Shiva. And that temple of that Shiva Linga is Rameshwaram. It's a very big temple in that location on the seashore, very close to the Dhanushkodi, as it's called, the bridge that goes to Lanka. So he worships Shiva. With joined palms, Sita addressed the celestial river, the Ganga. Okay, so now picture Sita. She's worshipping Ganga. And what is her prayer? Let's see if I can establish words. Her prayer. Okay, are you ready for it? Mother, pray accomplish my desire. Means please accomplish my desire. That I may return with my husband and his younger brother and worship you. Simple prayer. We're now crossing you. We're going into the forest. My prayer is that we will all be coming back again and crossing you to return to Ayodhya. And she says, at that time, I will worship you. Now there is a kind of, how to say, something of a tradition. You find this a lot of people in India take this sort of thing and extract from it what we might say is a bit of a misunderstanding. And that is to say, my dear Lord, they'll offer prayers. My dear Lord, please do this, this, and this, and this for me. Here's my shopping list. And if you do this, then I will give you such and such service. Then I will give you this donation, whatever it is. Little bit bribery. It's there, isn't it? This is very standard, isn't it? I will do, but not. And I've probably told you this story from the Jewish tradition, but I can't resist doing it again. The Jewish lawyer in New York, there are a lot of Jewish lawyers in New York, has an appointment, a very important appointment at the courthouse, and the Manhattan traffic is terrible, as it always is. It's bumper-to-bumper traffic, and he really needs to park his car and get into the courthouse on time. Otherwise, he's going to miss the chance for a big win of profit. And so he's looking for a parking place, and he can't find a parking place. So he starts praying. He's a humanist. He's praying to the Lord, oh Lord, please, give me a parking place. And he's looking, he's praying, please give me a parking place. And if you give me this parking place, I will give this nice donation to the what's the Jewish the temple? The synagogue, yeah, to the synagogue. And he's driving and he's looking for a parking place and he's praying, please give me. And then there's a parking place. And he pulls in, parks his car. And then he says, oh, don't bother, that's all right. I found a parking place.
That's Jewish.
Very good, yes. Okay, but anyway, Mother Ganga Sita has this prayer to Mother Ganga. In response to Sita's prayer, steeped as it was in the nectar of love, full, steeped means full as it was in the nectar of love, the following happy speech, utterance, came from the holy stream, came from the Goranga. Do you want to hear what Goranga said? Listen, O Vaidehi, that's Sita, beloved consort of Sri Rama, who in this world is not aware of your glory? People become masters of the heavens' quarters the moment you look at them. And all supernatural powers wait upon you with joined palms. By addressing a humble prayer to me, you have done me a favor. And you have exalted me. Yet, O venerable lady, bless you I must, just in order to fulfill my speech. So Sita has prayed to Ganga. Ganga replies, who am I that you are praying to me? It is you who are glorious. But all right, since you're praying to me, I must respond. And so here comes her actual response to her prayer. She says, Prananata devara sahita kushada koshana ai puji sabamana kamana Sujasu rohi jagat chai. With your beloved Lord and his younger brother, you shall safely return to Ayodhya. Every wish of your heart shall be accomplished, and your bright glory shall spread throughout the world. Is it a prediction or is it a blessing? This is our analytical mind, isn't it? Is that a prediction or is that a blessing? Or is it both? Is it a blessing which is nourished by a prediction? Or is it a prediction affirmed by a blessing? I guess my question would be, what difference does it make? As far as Sita is concerned, I don't think it makes a difference. I think she is happy to know that this is what's going to happen. This is coming at the time just after they have left Ayodhya. So far, everything has been very nice. They've been accompanied by the whole population of Ayodhya for some time. Sumantra has driven them further. Actually, they slip away from the population early in the morning, and they drive in such a way that the tracks cannot be followed, so that when the residents of Ayodhya wake up, where is Ram? Oh, we see the tracks of their chariot. Which way did they go? This way, that way. Because Sumantra had made it so that they couldn't tell which way they went. And they've been welcomed by Guha and by all of Guha's tribe. Everything's been very nice, and it will continue to be very nice for some time. But, as we all know, there will be troubles. So this functions for us, the hearers, the readers, as a kind of reassurance, something we can remember when we hear that Sita is abducted by Ravana. We can remember, we can be simultaneously in anxiety for her and also reassured. No, Ganga Devi has said they will return triumphant. So then this becomes also a kind of part of our memory, of our Rama Smarana. We can remember in anticipation of what is coming. Remembrance, we usually think of as you remember something in the past. There's a very nice song from Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Sharanagati, in which he is remembering, anticipating Krishna killing various demons. And he's identifying with this memory anticipation as being a participant in Krishna's Lila. So that's an interesting form of memory, to remember the future. Remember the future? Yes. If time is eternal and Lila is eternal, it's always going on, then that means it's also going on in the future in some sense. And that going on in the future is already happening now. In one purport I just read a few days ago, Srila Prabhupada speaks about Krishna's eternal pastimes. One can think of as a clock and the hands of the clock. We call them hands. What do you call them? Kazaik. Kazaik.
Pointers.
Pointers. Kazaik. Yes, they're pointers, right? So he says you can think of the eternal pastimes of the Lord in relation, like in a clock. And well, you can take it either way. Either the Lord's pastimes are the hands which are pointing, or the Lord is pointing, or you can say time is pointing, and with each number on the clock, it's pointing to different pastimes of the Lord. That could be an interesting exercise for an artist to make like a mandala picture of a clock, and you can turn the. I'm just thinking aloud. Don't mind. It's just crazy song. Anyway, you could make the hands moving and the different pastimes. Ashtakaliya Lila, right? Eightfold pastimes of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we have Ganga anticipating, blessing, whatever it is, that all of this is going to come to pass. Okay, we have time for One more message. Sita rejoiced to hear these benedictory words of Goddess Ganga and to find her favorably disposed. She was happy to see that Ganga was pleased and was favorable. Then the Lord said to Guha, "Go home." The moment he heard this, Guha's face turned pale, and there was great agony in his heart. With joined palms, Guha addressed the Lord in pathetic terms. "Hear my prayer, O jewel of Raghu's race. Let me remain with you, my Lord, and show you the road. After serving you for a few days, I shall prepare a beautiful hut of leaves for you in whichever forest, O Lord of Raghus, you may go and take up your abode. Thereafter, I swear by you, O chief of Raghus, to do as you bid me." Perceiving his natural love, Sri Rama took him with him, and Guha felt much joy in his heart. Then Guha summoned all his kinsmen, and having gratified them, sent them away. So Guha has initially been sent away by Rama. He says, "Go home." Wait, don't, please, let me be with you a few more days. And Rama sees, yes, he is so much affectionate, how can I send him immediately? And so, and then all of the tribals come together, and his relatives, he says, so it's this series of departures, actually. It's not one departure. Rama leaves Ayodhya, but it's not complete with that, because the residents of Ayodhya come with him for some time. But then he disappears from them. And then he meets the residents of the forest, the associates of Guha. And then they want to be with him. And then he leaves them. And Sumantra wanted to continue and produce Sumatra. So step by step, Rama together with Sita and Lakshmana are becoming more and more by themselves. This is where adventures will begin. Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshmana Hanuman Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Bhakti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Lord. Shall we do more of this next time? I think the day after tomorrow we have another session. Shall we do more? So may you remember these snapshots of Rama Lila today. These meditation snapshots. Yeah? Hare Krishna.
His Holiness HH Krishna Swami Maharaja Ki Jai.